call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go! I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine.
Today's video, we're going to be taking this guy apart. The idea here is my Fiero currently has a 3800 L67 in it. I've only driven it a couple times, and I've had it running a bunch. But when I give it a little bit of throttle, I see blue smoke coming out of the rear. So it had been sitting a long time, and then when I did get it started for the first time, I had a huge vacuum leak, which caused it to rev really high. And I think I may have scored the cylinder walls a little bit doing that, and in doing so, created a little bit of a compression issue. So this is my backup engine. This, however, is not that nice from what I can tell. I mean, you can kind of see that it's got quite a bit of rust. It was sitting outside under a tarp for a while. I got it relatively cheap though, so today's mission is to just take it apart and see what I'm dealing with. Take all the pieces off. I'm going to get down to the heads. I may port the heads, but I really just want to take the heads off, take a look at the cylinders, and truly just see what I'm dealing with. So that's more or less it. All right, so I did take some of the stuff off. The exhaust manifold hardware is in rough shape. I mean, it's pretty rotten. So what I wind up doing is putting that in sort of a vinegar bath and cleaning them off. It's always good to have some spare hardware, but these guys in particular, I'm not cracking loose. They're stripping on me. I don't have acetylene on me. I don't have any kind of torch on me right now, so breaker bars just kind of stripping them. So what I probably will do, I think I can just slide the whole set of manifolds off. I just 2 cents here. I am not a professional. I am just some guy. These videos are not how-tos or tutorials. This is just me kind of messing around. So if you guys see better ways of doing it, feel free. I'm perfectly fine being the ignorant bastard that does this and shows you the wrong way of doing it. As long as people correct me, I really don't give a shit. You're not going to hurt my ego. I don't care. And there's plenty of tutorials and how-tos on YouTube out there. I'm not going to be doing anything. I'm not a professional. So anyways, now that that's out of the way, I'm going to just take probably the spark plugs out, I think, because I think the other side, I'm going to run into a little bit of interference with those guys. Take those off, slide the exhaust off entirely, and then I could probably just cut those bolts off or whatever. I don't even know if I'm going to reuse this set of manifolds. It's kind of junk. So, all right, spark plugs are out. Just a couple notes, mostly for myself here, but I've got this this bolt here just orientated in a way that I understand. This is my supercharger pulley, and then that's the direction of the supercharger. So I know what cylinders these came out of. They all look relatively the same. I mean, there's, with one exception, they don't look terrible. Some of these guys on this side look a little wet, but then this guy in particular, this cylinder looks like it's got some issues. So we're going to check out that particular one. I don't know what number that is, but that's the center back here on this side. So the other thing is they were pretty rotten. So I wound up using a breaker bar and just popping them loose. I didn't want to use any kind of power tools or anything like that on there. I just wanted to crack them loose a little bit. Once I did that, they came off pretty nice. So, but yeah, anyways, this guy, he's got me kind of worried. It does turn by hand, by the way. The engine does turn. I did check that. But anyways, if we're gonna be restoring it, not too concerned, but if some moisture did get in there over the years of being stored outside under a tarp, that's not so good. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a huge investment. Not going to be too heartbroken about some progress. All right, so made some progress. Just for any of those wondering, yes, the exhaust does slide off. Once you get the spark plugs out, it slides right out. Another thing is This O2 sensor is seized like a mother. I wound up buying one of these sockets here to put on there, and as I was cranking on it, I actually bent the whole exhaust manifold. So that's going to stay in there. Another note here is, now that the exhaust is out of the way of this dog bone, I usually leave the bolts where I found them so that I don't lose them. Other couple interesting things. I've been working on these engines for a while, and I don't think I've ever seen this particular shielding. I don't know if this is meant to be exhaust heat shielding or what, but I think the starter goes here, so this either protects the starter or protects the debris or something from hitting the exhaust manifolds. But first time I think I remember seeing this. And then another interesting thing here was this bolt for the EGR, I did not take off. So this engine was missing this bolt. So previous owner had taken that off and then didn't put it back. In order to get to this bolt easier, I took the engine temp sensor out as well. So that's it for now. Let's just keep going. All right, so just a couple notes about the coil pack bracket, which is off. You can kind of see it there, right there. So it sits on with these two studs and a bolt, one stud, two stud, and the bolt. This ground gets sandwiched underneath the bolt. Just be wary. That's a common failure point of the ICM harness, which is this guy, the ICM harness separate from the regular engine harness, which feeds your coil packs. It goes down to your crank position sensor and your cam position sensor. Another thing to note is this particular nut on this stud is very hard to find. It sits inside of the tensioner pulley inside here. So if you were to ever lose this, you're going to be in tough shape, because this just is a regular one. You can see the sidewall of the nut is actually pretty big, and then this one's pretty thin. It allows you to squeeze in a regular size socket. So just try not to lose this one if you do wind up having to do this at some point. This one in particular, once it's flush up against the bracket, you can just barely fit a 15 socket on there. You put the socket on first, and then you put your wrench on the socket. Your wrench won't get full engagement, but it will. It'll have enough of an edge to actually break it loose. So not a huge deal. Just pointing it out. Hopefully that helps you. Okay, a couple things before I take the fuel rail off. This bypass valve, which is this here, I feel like this particular style was in the earlier models of the L67, not the later ones. So I think I'm dealing with probably a 97 or a 98 engine. Another note is these fuel rail bolts, the ones that go right there. The nut came off of this one, but the whole thing came out of this side. I'd be very wary of these. I've snapped these in the past. So just be very gentle taking these off if you're ever gonna attempt this. Another thing, this engine's been sitting outside for a little while, and it's got junk for days. If I were you and I was not taking the heads off of this, because I am, and I don't really care if the junk kind of falls around, I would suck all this up. I would clean all this up very nice with a shop vac, or spray it out with some air, or whatever you need to do before you take the injectors out. But for me, because I'm going to take the heads off anyways, I don't particularly care all that much. Whatever falls, will just fall in the cylinders, and I can vacuum it out later. So another thing that I thought was interesting is they appeared to have painted this year Supercharger. I don't remember there being a paint on my previous ones, but this definitely has some sort of coating on it that's flaking off in different areas. So yeah, I don't know. Okay, so looking at the injectors, if you can see that, that's pretty clean. No crazy buildup, except for our problem cylinder. That guy there. I don't know how to get it to focus. Right there. that dirty compared to that clean. If I can get the stupid thing to focus. Yeah, so pretty nasty. Definitely interested to see what we find down there. Also, the injectors have little clips on them, so if you want to take the injectors off of the rail, you gotta pop the clips off. Those are kind of hard to find as well, in good shape. So, all right, so all the bolts are off. Let's just pry this sucker up. Supercharger coming off. It's filled with carbon, to be expected. Really what I'm looking for is to see if there's still the Teflon coating or whatever on top of the rotors. I don't know if it's Teflon, but whatever the fuck coating is on there. And it actually, you know, right here, you probably can't see that, but right here it's actually missing some, but it's really not that bad. It's really not that bad. It's not looking too bad, actually, all things considered. All right, so I'm onto the intake manifold. I'm gonna get this off. A couple notes: the elbows that came out of these two, this location and this location, those always break on these engines, causing coolant leaks. You can see the wonderful presence that Dexcool leaves us. Powdery crap. It's actually worse on the tensioner bracket itself. Sorry, the lighting kind of sucks, but yeah. So onto the intake manifold now. Some of these bolts were actually completely covered in oil. You can actually see it coming out of the holes that they were in. Man, this thing's dirty. Doesn't look like animal dirt though. No mouse shit or anything like that. It's just grime, leaves and crap. All right, so now up next is the intake manifold. I think I've gotten all the bolts out. I don't think there's one under here. It's just so dirty with junk. But I left the coolant fill neck on intentionally to try to help me give some leverage, because sometimes these things can get kind of stuck. But it's so disgusting. I'm interested to see what happens when I pull it up. Let's give it a shot. I don't want to tilt it too much, but yeah, it looks like these intake manifold gaskets were blown on this side, particularly with the bad cylinder, or at least I shouldn't say bad cylinder, at least the cylinder where the spark plugs are suspect. So you can see here, this one was pretty bad. This one's also pretty bad. This one over here, also in tough shape. Not as bad as the other side, but these gaskets, especially on this side here, were blown. These ones actually don't look too bad. Like you can kind of see it here was blown. Okay, so rockers look decent. Nothing looks out of place from at least the initial look. It's just so freaking dirty. So I've got some plastic bags. I'm going to toss the valve train parts in. Maybe put a little bit of oil in there just to keep them the way they are, so that when I do eventually put this thing back together, they're in decent shape. All right, so this side's head bolts are out. Just for reference, these are 9/16. I didn't use this to crack them loose. I used my breaker bar to crack them loose, and then I just used that to back them up the rest of the way. Rockers looked good. Push rods, from at least a visual inspection, all looked straight. I didn't roll them or anything, but they looked straight. No scoring or anything like that. I didn't keep them in the right, because I figure if I'm going to redo this, I'm not too worried about them. Get it cleaned out, spec'd out, and all that stuff. So not too worried about keeping track of what cylinder intake or exhaust the push rods came out. So I've got these bolts off. I'm going to pull this up. Hopefully the camera's in a good enough angle you can kind of see what I'm seeing. Hopefully I can get this too without a pry bar, but we'll see. These suckers are usually pretty heavy. Yep, needed the pry bar, but that made life a little easier. I gotta figure out where I'm put these. All right, let's see. Oh, take that off. 13. It's always 13. 13. That bracket that I didn't know existed is bolted to the block. So let's try this again. Oh man. Well, lots of carbon, but the pistons themselves look decent. Hard to see the cylinder wall. Let's try the other side. So 9/16, I don't know if you can see that, cracked my socket. I've had this set Craftsman for over 20 years. Never broke a socket. There's one left. It's the last one. Snap. I was just talking to my wife about how I've never had to replace anything in that set except for the small ratchet. That one broke. Twice that one's broken, but because it's Craftsman, you get free replacements. At least you used to. I mean, I think last year I got the new replacement for the smaller one after the second time of breaking it. So that's the first socket I've ever broke in 20 plus years of wrenching on cars. I've used these things endlessly. That's crazy to me. So they're all cracked loose now. It was that one that did it. All right, let's bring the camera. Okay, get my crowbar, pop her loose, just makes my life a little easier having to do it this way. Now let's see what it looks like. Well, significant carbon buildup. I'd need some better lighting to find out if this is scoring, but it looks good. I mean, it looks good. Clearly something was going on. That's the one where, this is definitely the cylinder where the spark plug was looking pretty suspect. So something was going on there. But from a damage perspective, I mean, I could replace the valves. No problem. It looks okay otherwise. Head gasket intact. All right, so there you have it. That's about all I really wanted to get done. Was getting the heads off. Got to take a look at them. Doesn't look too bad. Made quite a mess for myself. But yeah, so I think next steps, I'll get the heads probably taken to a shop, get them cleaned up, maybe new valves. We'll see. If I do wind up building this up, maybe I'll get a cam, so that'll make my decision in terms of stiffer springs and different rockers, for example, if I go that route. So what's left on the block, I can take the water pump off. I just kind of left that alone. I still haven't drained the oil, but it's exposed at this point. So I'll get some stretch wrap or something and just cover it up, vacuum it up, clean it up. But yeah, I got done what I wanted to get done today. So that's more or less it. So the next video, maybe I'll do an oil change on this guy. Maybe I'll do my wife's brakes on her Fusion, or I'm rebuilding the fuel on the Fiero. So maybe I'll do that one as well. Anyways, hope you guys learned something. If not, I really don't care.